Hello, everybody. I'm all dressed up today because we've got an executive going on. He's the graphics. My kids worked overtime for that, Ian. And then also, because you'll find Ian's got a slight accent there, I've got a cup of tea ready. So before I get going, I'd just like to say thanks for coming out. And Ian.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. I'm glad that we can represent the tune from both sides of Montgomery County.
My accent might swing back into Newcastle, that shirt that's behind Ian there. I don't know where his accent's from. It must be Tyne-and-Wear-ish. So, Ian, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're doing now?
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously I've been over in the States since 2007, so it's been a long journey, but an enjoyable one. Currently executive director here at Westmont United. Been executive director since 2015, I believe. And yeah, I mean, it's been an enjoyable. The club's been very good to me and been good to the community and the surrounding area. So, I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Cool. And I've known you for quite a while too, pretty much since you got here. So let's go back, wibble, back to our youth, 10 years ago, maybe. No.
Yeah.
What's your first recollection of playing football, soccer? And also tell us about where you're born, and then we'll get into that nice black and white shirt after that you've asked those two questions.
Yeah, sure. So ultimately, I started soccer pretty late, to be fair. I wasn't blessed with speed or size, which is, if you look at me now, the only size I have is forward. But yeah, no, back probably 10 years old, I joined a travel team which had 11 players on. And back then it was 11v11 at U10. So we had probably 9 or 10 players a weekend.
3 subs, that's it? On and off?
Yeah. Whether the coach put you on or not was up to him. There was days where you would sit on that bench and, you'd get a cold backside. But yeah, I mean, we learned how to play with numbers down week in, week out, and that was literally my first experience. It was a very local club run by my friends' fathers. And then after a few seasons of that torture, but it also developed some character, that's for sure. Moved on to a more established travel team, as you would say, a club with, bottom to top. Had an affiliation with the local semi-pro clubs in the area.
Cool. And where was that, Toz?
That's West Sussex. So I started off at Manor Park Colts, which was none of you are going to know these areas, but we'll say them anyway.
We could Google them later.
Sayers Common, which is just outside of the village that I lived. And then we moved to Burgess Hill, which was South Down Rovers. And I believe Gareth Southgate played for them once in a time.
Wow.
And then I transitioned from there, from U16 up to the U18s at a semi-professional club called Hassocks FC, where I made my first team appearance at the age of 16. So nice. It was a different journey for me versus some others, but it was an enjoyable one.
And how was your schooling?
Schooling was different. We had a team, but it was probably more run by myself. We had a teacher, and he said, I coach, I pick the team, and that was my 15, 16 age. I was starting to sort of get into the coaching industry at that point, leading my peers to, the big rivalries around in Sussex, which, it was different. It was definitely different compared to over here, but it was fun at the same time, and I have some good memories from it.
And we, as in people from the United Kingdom, the British, we leave school at 16. What was your journey from there?
Yeah, so from 16, I went on to like a pre-university or pre-college, where I actually taught PE as an assistant, physical ed, and I was coaching for Brighton, Hove Albion in the community as a side gig from probably the age of 15, and a good friend of mine, Simon McMenemy, who's also in coaching these days. But yeah, it was definitely a different when I was 16 and you're living in the real world and you have to sort of make money and make a decision on education and soccer. And back then, the education wasn't always held at the forefront when soccer was in mind. And it's something that, for me, was good and bad. I learned a lot of different life lessons to following soccer first and and catching up on my studies later in life.
Definitely. So let's just flip to those things that are behind you. So obviously to your right, as left as we look at it, we've got Sir Bobby.
So Bobby.
Definitely. And then a shirt there. I remember that shirt. I worked at St. James's when that shirt was worn, and when Prince Albert put a fifth, I think it was 5 that night, past Man United, which was pretty special time. So was that the generation, that team, the Ginolas and everything, that was that era, was that what got you into Newcastle?
Yeah.
What got you into Newcastle? Because just for everybody to understand over here, he technically lived in Texas but supported the New England Patriots.
Yeah,
That weren't successful, by the way.
Yeah.
So not a good choice there. So the New York Jets.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I suppose I came probably from the furthest part of the country to support the most northern point of England. But I started off, to be fair, and you can beat me up for this later, but my old man pushed me towards Tottenham. He's a livid Tottenham fan, which, you can also sometimes feel sorry for them as well at the same time, but they had a big history back when, I believe the 80s, 90s.
Yep.
But yeah, he tricked me. He basically, as I was 7 or 6 years old, he was saying that Tottenham were England, and so he got a few years out of me there. And the day that Raw Fox and Keith Gillespie and Les Ferdinand, they all played against Tottenham one day, and I gravitated to them. The flair and the attacking presence of the team just hit home, and I never looked back since. So.
It's pretty special. It's pretty special ground to go. It's a special ground to go to, and game day, game year, should we say, because that's all we have up in Newcastle, really, the cathedral there. Not that the people from Sunderland will say that too. So I've got I've got a few family members.
Yeah, I've got a little story for you later on, but I'll leave it to later because it's not the most joyous story, but it's definitely a claim to fame.
All right, we'll save that for a cup of tea later on. So in that then, who's your favorite player now? Who's your favorite player that you can remember? No, everybody goes to Pele and everything, but who's your favorite player that you kind of grew up watching as well?
Yeah, I tried to mold my player on to be, someone who had flair and technique and speed. I was blessed. Well, not blessed. I worked hard to get a lot of speed. I ended up actually developing my speed pretty quick at a young teenage age. And then from there, I basically wanted to replicate David Ginola, or Ginola.
Hair, right? I'm not there.
Didn't have the muscles or anything like that, but he just spoke to me on the field. He was very, he spoke with the ball. He was very elegant with the ball, great change of direction. You never sort of knew where you were going to go with him 1v1. So I tried to replicate that. I might have got an ounce of a percentage of it, but something that I never missed a game when David Ginola was on the field. And then obviously later on in life when Shearer came the following year, he was obviously a Geordie hero, so it was easy to follow that guy.
Big arm up Shearer. Funny, when I worked at St. James, I was right on the touch line, and I remember Ginola's first game there, and the man is enormous, and he took a ball out of the air, which was just outrageous. I've never seen anything like it in the flesh, and for that moment on, I was like ringing up my dad, like, "Hey, Dad, you got to watch the game tonight." It was a pretty special time. So we left all that great soccer, and then you hit over here and you hit Plymouth Rock, and you came over coaching.
Yeah.
Tell us about that part of your life.
Yeah, so I was sort of in between semi-pro and being looked at by a few clubs at, around the 18, 19 years old. But at that point, at 16, I sort of decided to start coaching because I knew that it was a very, very slim chance of me progressing through the pyramids. So yeah, I took it upon myself to get some coaching licenses in England. And from there, I came over with, I believe, a similar company that you came over with UK Elite. And really from there, they gave me a lot of education, which was, I'll always thank them for that. It's something that they set me up with a good foundation. So I came over UK Elite in 2007, lived in a house with 5 other coaches of the 21 to 25 age. A very good friend of mine, Christian Bates at PA Rush as well. And there's another guy called Andy Hogg who's actually at Westmont. So yeah, it's almost within the few years that they made it feel like home. So, America was very welcoming. So I've enjoyed it, really have.
Yeah. So now you got the crest there, Westmont, and you're the guy who takes the phone calls and the manager, as we used to say back in the day. Why Westmont? Why did you end up there? And can you tell us something a little bit more about the club itself for the people who don't know it?
Yeah, I mean, why Westmont? I actually started through UK Elite and coached the summer camp there and met a few friends and made some good friends along the way. The technical director there at the time, Alex Zelke, we played a charity game in a sense at Westmont on that camp, and it was pretty funny. He was kicking lumps out of me through the game, and we sort of made good friendships through that and through other people within the game. Yeah. But the club itself has a foundation of multiple levels and has a growth, a very big community which is still growing. But ever since I walked into Westmont, it just felt right. People were very, family oriented, very community based, and it almost felt like, growing up in England where sort of everyone came to one spot to play rather than being in satellite places and not seeing everyone. It felt really home. And yeah, I mean, Westmont's been great to me. The people have been like a family, and that's, you'll see our hashtag. It's very big for us because we feel that that's the fundamental piece within the club.
That's awesome. So a couple of things you mentioned there, the pyramids, that wasn't in Egypt, that was the coaching licenses. Second of all, in the majors, the adult soccer, Mr. Zelke was a very good player. I keep getting told stories of him everywhere I go. So nice to.
I'm still waiting for the truth, but
yeah,
we'll see that.
We'll see. Yeah, but apparently he was extremely very, very good. And then for the people who potentially watch this who don't know where Westmont is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's in the Limerick area in Pennsylvania. Yep. Yeah. So
yeah, Limerick, Collegeville, Royersford, around that area.
What's that parking lot that runs past it? It's the road.
Ridge or Royersford. We're on Royersford Road, but we're actually on Ridge Pike. So
is it 422?
Yeah, 422. Yeah.
The parking lot. So, and if anybody's parked on 422, look to your right. You'll probably see it out of there. So obviously, player to coach, very difficult move. Pleasurable in different ways, but you can't get out there and fix it. Now you made another move. You made a move to the front office, as we say over here. Can you tell us a little bit about what your role is and then what you find hard about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that you sort of have to learn along the way through your coaching and admin roles. It's definitely different. You are the ED. You have the whole picture to put together rather than, if you're, really when the DOCs, it's more soccer specific, and you don't necessarily have to juggle the financials and so forth. So for me, I think the biggest part of it all is looking long term, but also focusing and sort of managing my staff to really execute on the short and medium term goals, and then going from there. It's very, very similar to coaching in a sense, because you are man management. You're the top of them. You've sort of got to understand the heartbeat of the group, whether that be the coaching staff or the DOCs and the business manager, the intramural director. But for me, it's an enjoyable thing because I still get to work with a team, and I get to really get the vision of this club where I want it. It's at a point where we're really happy, and we've been growing year after year. It's in both quality and quantity. That is my personal opinion. But we're not done yet. I think there's a lot more to give from Westmont, and I think you'll start hearing them a lot more. So that's the plan.
And you put down roots. You've got a family.
Yes, I met my lovely wife on a blind date in Kildare's in Manioc, a nice Irish bar. Unfortunately, that's not there anymore. And we got married in 2011. I have to make sure I get that right. 2011 in August.
We'll fact check that.
Yeah, I think I might double check that one too. But no, yes, yeah, we got married in 2011, and we had a lovely daughter a year and a half ago, 27th December, where I was meant to be down in Disney with the boys, but luckily they let me stay and witness my first birth of the child. So something that has really almost felt like it completed me in a sense, and I'm sure many people feel that way as well.
Awesome. Well, congrats on both of them.
Thank you.
Do you want to give a shout out to anybody? And thanks for your time too.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's more of a shout out to the whole, Greater Philadelphia area and the communities. I meine, I've worked at, I probably lost count of the clubs that I worked at from the beginning. I've been here, from Nether Providence with Jared Squire and Andrew Brenner, rest in peace, and from Westmont to Westchester to all the way to Buckingham. I mean, I have worked at a lot of clubs, and every single club in this area have always been accepting and really outreach to make me feel like I want to be American or eventually I will be looking to take that citizenship. So yeah, no, I just want to say a big shout out to thank you for everyone that's in this community and going through this different time within the soccer landscape, and everyone that I've been working with has been super positive and looking to get back on the field in the best safest way possible.
That's awesome. Well, I'd like to thank you for your time, Ian, and then I'll probably sign off here, but me and you will stand and talk about the takeover of Newcastle, how much money we're going to get, how we're going to be top of the Premier League, and also playing like the Keegan days again. Definitely.
Yeah, if you have any connections for a few million, we have got our turf plan ready to go. So just waiting for those millions of dollars from Newcastle. Maybe I'll try and figure out an affiliation of some sort.
Well, thanks for your time.
All right, thank you, Gary. Appreciate it.